Well, guys, this is awkward. I know I promised that I was going to have the really hot Canadian, the really hot girlfriend here is a supermodel this weekend, but she booked a gig in Canada, so she can't make it to the show. I'm real sorry. This is an awkward moment. I really know that. What's up?
Here's the problem. You actually did marry your girlfriend from Canada.
That's true. That is true.
This joke.
I wasn't going to say it.
You literally are the person. You are the example to the rule.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it.
There are kids out there who actually look up to you. These like,
right?
you might actually be some religious figure to a couple of kids. Like, look, I know you might not believe that my girlfriend's from Canada, but I know of a guy in New England who he married his girlfriend from Canada. So they're real guys. They're out there, and one's my girlfriend,
and they believe.
I think you may have found my new calling. I think I need to start some kind of cult.
I think you do too.
I
need a compound. Yeah, I think I need a compound and some ridiculous sense of rules. No, I think
you need that.
No, but in other news, we were also going to have a whistleblower who was going to testify before Congress on here. No singing this week. No singing.
It was just for Gordon.
Out. Yeah, it was Gordon. I did a little. You know me. It'll be back.
4 episodes in a row.
Don't worry, people. It'll be back. It'll be back. No, but I also had a congressional whistleblower scheduled on this week, and lo and behold, we couldn't find him either. So it's been that kind of a week. I have my actual girlfriend / wife now from Canada. Whistleblowers.
Actually from Canada.
From Canada.
This is like when Axl Rose showed up and decided he's going to speak his way through the reunion tour for Guns N' Roses like 10 years ago. Like, this is what this feels like right now. Everyone's coming to Guns N' Roses to see, the hair get blown off, a kick-ass, rock-ass show, and then they see Axl Rose just sit down for like 2 hours and just talk to him, Hey guys, can I rap? Can I rap with you?
I think it was more of a shit down, but yeah, I see where you're going.
Well, he
you
did
would say
borrow,
that.
was
You're
that
hit
the
Slash.
Was that the one where he borrowed the throne from Dave Grohl from Foo Fighters, or was that? I thought that's because he broke his foot, just similar to Dave Grohl. There was a tour where he had to sit down and sing.
This is the one after their last studio album release, which I'm not going to say the name, mainly because one is slightly offensive, and two, I forgot about it. But it had a country in there for no reason.
It really, pretty much by any measurable, sucked. I mean, it really, honestly, it's hard to say it, but in all honesty,
they were always overrated. Yes.
Guns N' Roses, they peaked with that, Appetite for Destruction. Boy, you had your whole life to write that album, and it showed. It really came through, and it's got track after track, and overall, it holds up. After that,
I'll give you 3 tracks. Give me one more that's not on a soundtrack, and I'll believe you.
Oh yeah, like I said, one's on a soundtrack. The only one I could think of was on a soundtrack, and one of the ones I could think of. Yeah, You Could Be Mine, but you got November Rain. Okay. It's okay. And then, I don't know. I'm not, You're
welcome to the jungle.
Welcome to the jungle's on Appetite for Destruction.
I know. I'm saying I'll give you 3 tracks, and I'm taking the one off of the soundtrack. So really, you kind of only gave me November Rain. I just gave you Welcome to the Jungle. Give me one more.
Sweet Child of Mine.
Okay.
And it's a bit of thing. This is not technically on the soundtrack. However, the song "Welcome to the Jungle" is featured
on everything
in the film, on everything. But it was featured very predominantly right at the time it was on the charts in the Dirty Harry movie, The Deadpool, of which at that point you have Jim Carrey lip syncing it, and you have Liam Neeson directing the video that they're lip syncing to, which is pretty awesome. So there's they get a little credit in that, and they even had a cameo in the film, at a couple of cameos, just standing around being themselves in the film. So they get a little bit of street cred from that.
I think my dad woke me up the start of one year with that song. I think he's like kicked open the door with that song playing. I was like, all right, it was cool. Good start to 4th grade.
Yeah. All right. 4th grade. Welcome to 4th grade.
No, you kept the jungle in there. It's like, all right.
I Love it. I love it. Well, welcome to, once again, we are down in the steam tunnels. We have assembled in our
I think
own.
he called me motherfucker. I'm like, what? I think that's you, man. So I got here.
What album was Yesterday's on?
I think that was Use Your Illusion 1, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
That's Use Your Illusion was the one that had November Rain, right?
Yes. And you know, a lot of them had the same tracks on there. They just did it was a double album, but it was one of the laziest double albums of all time. Where it was like alternate
it was one or two. Because Knocking on Heaven's Door was number 2.
Was definitely 2, and
which
they had a lot of track. Yeah,
that's a remake. I mean, cover. Right?
Cover. Yep.
Knocking on Heaven's Door. Yeah.
Which I'll admit they kill it, because honestly, like most Bob Dylan tunes, I enjoy most Bob Dylan tunes when they're done by somebody else. I think he's a great songwriter and just not as great a performer. But that's another rabbit hole.
Sounds like you're quoting Bob himself.
Yeah. Maybe we could sit down. Go, but yes, we are down here in our own scattershot way. We are in the steam tunnels. We are convened once again to take on those matters in pop culture that need to be addressed, that no one else has the guts to address. I am Josh. I am the Birdman. I'm joined here by the 3 of clubs, Mr. RaShaun Smith. Sound off. Let us know how you're doing.
What it do? How do you do? Fired up with B with all of you and my professors and my bro Tater Chip. Y'all do the math on that, but it's just, you know, I'm just happy to see these gentlemen.
I'll accept Professor. Yeah.
I like Brotato Chip, so we're good. I like that.
That's what I'm talking about. These are my people. This is my family.
I'm down for that. I might get that tattoo on that Brotato Chip. I'm digging that. I'm going with that. That's how much I love that. So, well, we are happy as hell to have you here as well, RaShaun. So glad to see your beautiful face again. And I am also joined by the one, the only, the incomparable Star Child, Greg DeSense. How you doing today?
Feeling pretty damn incomparable. Thank you.
You got to bring that power to the people, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to bring that
pretty
power.
Damn incomparable, right?
And that, I think you should. I think you should feel incomparable.
Feeling there.
Yeah,
I should get a Luther Vandross song.
I think so. Go for it. You bring the music.
At least one. I mean, Luther's no longer with us, but I feel like I should get a Luther Vandross song.
Maybe we can have one posthumously dedicated to you.
Never too much.
You say posthumously or posthumously.
Never too much.
Love it.
True fact. I'm gonna help some people out there in case you are invited to the barbecue or the cookout, depending on what where you are and what region and who invited you. But if Luther Vandross plays on, if someone says Lufa, I'm going to tell you right now, they are talking about the same person, but they're talking about a person before weight loss. So just give me a little insider tea.
I mean, that's not wrong.
If you hear someone talk about Luther Vandross, but it sounds like they're really saying Lufer, they are talking about Luther Vandross. They're just talking about a very specific one. And it's most likely the one you know, not necessarily one you remember.
I mean, Power of Love, Luther was real.
That was one versus his library.
Right.
I can't debate any of the facts being laid down here today. As always, my fellow steam gentlemen, bringing it and laying down and speaking truth to power. And speaking of speaking truth to power, hi, I'm a corporate symbol, and we're here to talk today. I'm joining you here on the steam, gentlemen, down in the steam tunnels. Very, very honored to be with you here today. As most of you know, I've just gotten out of a stint of rehab, and I'm feeling a lot better about myself. But I'm not going to take any questions about the divorce from Minnie, because that's just a little too personal. All right. And as far as Goofy goes, fuck that guy. Okay, fuck that guy. I don't want to hear his name ever spoken in my presence again. All right. I made that motherfucker, and he isn't shit without me. Yes, we're here to talk about Disney, folks.
That was pretty good, man. Sound like South Park came in here.
I do all right with that. Honestly, I'll talk about it later on in my bit, but quite honestly, one of the funniest Disney shows out there right now is they only did 3 seasons of it, but it was the revival of DuckTales. I will recommend that before the end of it. And they have a bit with Donald Duck stuck on a desert island, and he comes out just like a Castaway, and he comes out with a melon that is shaped like Mickey Mouse and starts to talk in that voice because he's stuck on the island. So, and then he goes back to the Donald voice. I'm like, okay, that is pretty good. That's pretty good. And his nephews and his sister are there, and she hasn't seen him in years. Is like, did he always do the melon thing? And his nephews are like, no, that's new. So that was some high end stuff. But yes, that's give you my best Mickey. Gorge. I didn't know you felt that way about me, Mick. Yes, I'm a Disney kid. I grew up on Disney, but we got to talk about Disney, and it's for a lot of reasons. It's kind of, it's the elephant in the room. It's the Borg, really just bringing everything into the continuum, just kind of moves through and just absorbs every IP as it goes along. And there's that question, like it's got my Star Wars, it's got my Marvel, it's got my Disney stuff, it's got Pixar, but it's got ABC, it's got ESPN. Trying to think of anything else I'm leaving out. Hulu, yep, Fox.
The Borg versus the Xenomorph. Who you got?
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things. So it's definitely a subject we need to talk about. We need to dive into, because the place in Disney, let's face it, it's the all-American company. So much so it's becoming one of the only American companies, and I'll be interested to see what happens when the
Germans get it.
Before the Germans get here. Exactly, right? I'll be interested to see what happens when the triumvirate of Disney, Apple, and Amazon all, like, when those 3 points come together, that's when shit's going to get interesting. And personally, I think that's what certain books of the Bible were really seeing when they were looking into the future. They were seeing those 3 giants coming head to head. Maybe that's. Yeah. I mean, it's as fair as anything else. I don't want to get too much into religion, but geez, I mean, is it really that anymore out there?
That's why I'm here. Fuck that up.
That's it. just to fuck that shit up. Well, that's why you are at 3 clubs. But yeah, we needed to talk about the entertainment monolith that was started by Walt Disney himself. Mortimer Mouse. Don't ever forget that was the original name, but I believe there was a copyright dispute. Somebody got it out from underneath them. So that's how Mortimer moved over to Mickey, and then moved on, from the very first cartoon of Steamboat Willie, growing on up and just moving on out and becoming such an entertainment monolith. So much so he had to start a theme park just to spend more time with his kids. That was actually the reason for Disneyland, because he just didn't see his kids whatsoever. He was just out being too busy taking over the world. What you got there?
We would not be the TSG that we are if we didn't add one little part to your formula that you're missing out, that led us to modern day Mickey Mouse, and frankly a lot of cartoons in our idea of what a cartoon is. And that's you're leaving out the special sauce of a minstrel show.
Oh yeah, can't forget that. Oh yes, can't forget the facial makeup and that wonderful time of that peculiar time in American history of the minstrel show. I will just a pinch, just a little pinch of it, just a little bit there.
Kiss, if you will.
With that, I'm going to turn it over to my esteemed colleague here, the
incomparable. I thought you were going. I thought this was.
No. I just was sort of just trying to set you up, but I'm going to take that over to my esteemed colleague here. Going to send it to Greg here and see what he's thinking. What's going on with you, Greg? What do you want to say about the Disney? And let's hear what you're thinking about.
Yeah, because I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to necessarily convince anybody, but you can't deny it when it comes to Disney that most of this shit is true. And I also respect the fact that I did not grow up with Disney. Thank Christ. I didn't grow up with Disney because, just my family was not an integral thing and it wasn't important in our community. So I just did not really care about it. I didn't see a Disney movie really until I was in high school. And by then, I don't really give a shit about the magic. Like I just really don't care. But I had a girlfriend at the time, sweet girl, and this is like, usually it's the guy who gives the girl the movie list, like, can't believe you haven't seen these movies. She gave me a movie list, and she sat me down, and one after the other we watched all of the movies that were around by the mid 90s 2000s. Like it was kind of just a barrage of Disney, and I was like, you know what, this shit ain't bad. I did. I enjoyed it. I honestly did enjoy Disney movies when I was first introduced to them. But that's exactly it, though. That's just the facade. Because Disney, that logo should be the Kraken. Because that is an evil fucking company that will grasp anything in reach and drag it down to the depths. And what's at the bottom of those depths? Capitalism. That's really all it is. Capitalism. It has the absolute best thing that you can sell: the dreams and hopes of your children. I mean, who doesn't want to put a price on that? I will sell your children their self-worth for the highest possible price if I could. You can't, it's excellent. It's absolutely excellent. And what do they really sell in just about every one of these movies? Alice in Wonderland, Cinderella, Mulan, Princess and the Frog, Lilo and Stitch. They're all pep talks for kids, right? They're all kids that can will themselves, children or teenagers, but they're all kids that can will themselves in these amazing situations and do these amazing things, and it just makes them feel as though they can have that too. And what kind of parent would deny their kids that? Good parents. Good parents should deny their kids that, because it's terrible. It's terrible, and it's a terrible thing to trap your children under. And then I was subjected to The Little Mermaid. Now, The Little Mermaid is out again because, again, Disney is the Kraken. So they're doing a recycled, supposedly live action. I don't know how it's live action when 90%
more
of it
live action than the full animated.
It's not. It just isn't live action. It's all digitally animated. But The Little Mermaid is out, and all controversies aside, that was the one that really brought Disney back to the forefront. Like that was the one that, after things, kind of took a lull after the Black Cauldron, it was The Little Mermaid that brought up the Disney Renaissance. And you had Pocahontas, and you had Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King and all of that shit. And it was all of these stories that I thought were just so insidious at the same time. Like I couldn't help but be kind of in awe of just how twisted they are. It reminded me of Hellraiser, because the same way that Hellraiser is a story about these perverted people who go chasing after this promise, and then hooks in your face. It's kind of the same thing with Disney. Like it's basically what Frozen does to you on an emotional level. And then you have the theme parks, which are just, oh my God, just godless bastions, just a capitalist orgy, just in the dreams, the wet dreams of Ronald Reagan. This is what it looked like, just nude photos of Margaret Thatcher and just drinks that cost $20 fucking, like just up and down, selling your kid dreams at the highest bidder, because dreams only belong to people with money. That's the truth, kids. If you want to have dreams and you want people to love you, you have to have money. Okay. And it's an important lesson for children to learn, especially if they're going to make the somewhat questionable decision to live in the United States. If you want dreams, don't be poor. And it resonates. As soon as you step in, everywhere you go. I have never been, because again, it's not really my thing. It's unbelievably expensive. Again, I'm not judging anyone else who wants to do this. If anything, it's what you do. It's Americana. It's Americana in its purest form. So I totally get it. But oh my God, it's unholy to me, this place, and just all of the plastic. I mean, the carbon footprint of this nightmare, and for it to actually be antithetical in any way to the Republican platform is bizarre to me. But that is how the United States can package idealism. It's something that very few countries can master, and they would be following in our footprints, because you have to be able to say, we believe in these ideals, give us all of this money so that we can then exploit people and damage the planet more, but take progressive positions so long as they don't actually upset the bottom line. Ta-da, peace on earth. Just give it time. And it's a difficult thing to balance. It's a difficult thing to balance loving Moana, because I loved Moana. Moana was fucking great. That giant crab song was just like, yo, right? And I mean, what was the one you were talking about? Partysaurus Rex? Partysaurus Rex. Amazing. Is absolutely amazing. But it's basically like, dipping some fried pork and barbecue sauce. You're just emotionally killing yourself, but it's just so damn good.
So good.
So damn good. And you just can't help it. So I can't say that without also pointing out the fact that, like Josh touched on a second ago, yeah, they're buying up everything. So you can't escape. You can't escape into Star Wars. You can't escape into Marvel. Another thing is I was an anime kid, giant, robots with guns, Robotech was my shit. Like, those things are what I really loved and I grew up on. And by the time Disney's done, you're not going to have another option, which is the new definition of capitalism, leaving people absolutely no other resources or places or refuge to go. And they're stuck with, whether they like it or not, your product. And so, yeah, like I said, now they've got Star Wars, now they've got ESPN, they've got Marvel, they've got Fox. They're going to keep everything under this, one roof. So other than being the thing that wakes Elizabeth Warren up at 3:00 in the morning, now you're also subjected to the fact that, this company is doing something that it will ruin not just creativity, because everything's going to have the same formula. You can already see it happening with Marvel. I mean, all of these Marvel shows, these new Marvel shows, they're basically Disney
already.
Movies. Yeah, they're basically Disney movies. They're just, teenagers believing in themselves, throw in a fucking song, and, just watch all the money roll in. So they're all turning into Disney movies. Star Wars, all right, yes, Andor is pretty good, and everybody loves Baby Yoda, but I would say that Baby Yoda is basically green Mickey Mouse. I mean, it's more money more than anything else. He's little green Mickey, so it's dangerous creatively, and it's dangerous for us socially. And then just for nothing else, don't forget, this company will gladly sue the shit out of you. So whenever anything that including Steamboat Willie is available, I believe Totally Naked Winnie the Pooh is available, any chance to do it, absolutely take whatever you can from this company, because all of the glittering memories, be what they are, they're awful. They're fucking awful. And all of the space wizards with laser swords cannot change that fact.
We prefer Space Jesus, first and foremost, or if you will, Orbital Wiseman.
He's not space. No one. If you can't turn water into wine, you're not Space Christ.
And look, with the right midichlorians, you can do a lot of things. So I'm just pointing that out. Secondly, I hate to point this out to you. That's not the new recipe for capitalism, man. That is the original recipe.
That's the original recipe.
Yeah, that has always been a recipe.
Oh no. I mean, I don't want to get
that
into
is
that.
literally what capitalism is designed to do. That is always the end result, is to be the number. Capitalism and Highlander are literally the exact same thing. It is designed to end up being just one, and you're taking heads the entire time. They are not aiming for anything else. Of the three of us who went to business school, I can tell you that right now. That is the idea of capitalism. There's nothing else around capitalism. It's not for any other purpose other than to be just the only one standing for your product.
The beauty of it is, while you're doing all that, you market extra crispy capitalism during it, right?
Or so, new recipe, or new original, flavor. Whatever fucking Coca-Cola or McDonald's. I mean, they're basically the same thing. Everything Greg said was dead on. I mean, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, same thing. Lastly, with the whole sue willingly, we need to also understand corporations keep law firms, not lawyers, law firms on retainer. So if they don't use them, that's kind of like having paying a whole bunch of money for an upgrade for your bathroom to put a bidet in there and then just never ever using it. Like, you're gonna use it just for the fuck of it. You're gonna fill things up. You're gonna fill water vases up with that bidet, just to make sure you get all the use of it. So that's the other thing we need to remember with these giant corporations is they're not just doing it because they like to. They're doing it because literally they are paying to do that. That is the only reason why they have these law firms on retainer.
Hold on. Our guest this week just wanted to chime in on Baby Yoda. Hold on one second. Don't you ever compare that little shit to me ever again, okay? I found him. I made him. If it wasn't for me, he'd be on the streets of Bangkok. All right. Do you understand me? Do you know what they would do to him there? All right. Yeah. Thank you very much.
I got dark.
Bangkok. You might actually get sued by South Park, man. You are way too good. I'm not even fucking around.
No, you're gonna get sued by Disney.
Yeah, Trey Parker just rolled up in this.
Yeah.
Listen, if we're getting sued by anybody in this, it's gonna be Disney. Disney is gonna absolutely.
That would actually make us money. Weirdly enough.
That maybe, that would. Hot knife through butter wouldn't cover it when Disney comes for us. But Greg, what was the last thought you?
I wanted to clarify the thing that made it new and unique is no other company, and this we can definitely talk about, but no other company owns your kids' dreams the way Disney does. And no other company has been able to maximize profits on your kids' dreams the way Disney has. So that's why I say it really is new, because very few people own that product of, your kids' imaginations the way Disney does.
Yeah, you're going to want to research robber barons, and then you're going to be real upset with why the names like Carnegie. Because it's not because of a fucking skate park. And
no one. You go up to a 7-year-old right now and say, "Hey, kid, Carnegie." They
right.
don't care.
Right, because we had to put legislation in to stop robber barons, and then we slowly moved back to it. Funny enough, quick fun fact for everyone: robber barons are why we have public education.
I'll figure, right?
Which is kind of moving to your point about kind of pushing some progressive laws forward, Greg. Once again, robber baron. That's the point. Capitalism hasn't changed.
Right now, by the way, RaShaun has a big wig on like that dude on Ancient Aliens, but he's just got his hands up in front saying capitalism as opposed to aliens.
Science. Because science.
Because
I'm not saying it's aliens. But aliens, exactly right. That's exactly what RaShaun looks like. That show. That show is hilarious.
Everyone will. It's a complete bunk, but everyone will watch it.
Great.
All right,
racist as shit, but great.
Well, this is awkward as I got to step up to my plate now, as Greg basically just pointed out, like what an awful parent you are to have, raised your kids in this.
You're working with the resources that you have.
I mean, so I just to point out that on my phone, as I'm looking for the timer of this, I have a picture of my oldest son, Isaac, with the biggest smile on his face. He's about 8 years old and he is hugging Tigger, at the Crystal Palace in the Magic Kingdom when we stopped for lunch that day. With just the biggest smile on his face. Wait, easy now. That's We had, I've also had pictures of them younger when they first saw Buzz Lightyear and Woody in their little exchange. The character encounter they call it there, where you line up to meet your favorite characters who can't talk, because honestly, I bet you I could talk for Disney. I'm telling you, you've heard my Mickey Mouse now. So yeah, I'm that guy. I'm that asshole to take this back a little ways. So I'm going to go back to 1972, 2 years before I was born. My grandfather retired after, most of his life in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, then moving up to Norwood, Massachusetts. Near the end of his working career, he worked for Westinghouse, and he was a union manager there. Worked those jobs for a long time, made a life for himself. Grew up during the Depression. Some interesting stories, so a few things there I heard about.
But can't help but have interesting stories.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He retired down to a place called Palm Coast, Florida, which is on the east coast of Florida, in Flagler County, near Flagler Beach, as a matter of fact. One of the true traumatizing incidents of my life was during that To Catch a Predator series. At one point, they were ambushing people on Flagler Beach, and I'm like, I used to play on that as a child. This is kind of disturbing, but okay. But Florida, I mean, what do you do? Were we shocked? No,
but Florida.
So during that, Disney opens in 1972. I come along in 1974, and by 1976, 77, I go down to visit my grandparents, and then my mother could only stand them for a few days, so we would always drive over to Disney. It was still quite the experience there, and quite the deal, and that she didn't really have, but okay. She got us. She wanted to sell those dreams without a doubt, and she bought in whole hog. Was kind enough after she bought into actually the first Disney, it's called the Disney Vacation Club, which is their timeshare, and was kind enough to leave that to me, so I get to share it with my kids. So I have to give the full disclosure on this, that I'm coming at it from a definitely slanted angle, even though I can't really fight anything you said, which is that strange dichotomy. You are talking to a guy who took his kids to a 2-day Disney immersion Star Wars experience. So, yeah. And you know what? Wouldn't, just like the comic book guy on The Simpsons, wouldn't change a thing. All right. I just, life well lived. All right. It is just a vibe. It is hard to explain, but there is nothing quite like it. When I was a kid, to have been able to go to that, and to now give that to my own children, and to watch their little faces light up, and to just go absolutely batshit crazy. And yeah, that was, I think, again, I can't say you're wrong, Greg. I can't debate you on
it's okay.
Really any of it. But I'm still going to do it.
It's okay. It's all right.
It's the diction. I don't know how to properly.
It's Americana.
It's Americana. I think you're very much right there.
Yeah.
I think you are very much correct there, that it is Americana, to its core. Going down there is such an immersive vibe. It's not to be believed. Now, some things are, go above and beyond Americana to the point that you have the Hall of Presidents, which I can't even go in right now because it's just a war zone. And okay, because in there you have an animatronic, every president in there. They have, of course, an animatronic Trump, and now an animatronic Joe Biden. So yeah, that shit goes well.
Because we needed that.
Because we needed that. They always get to give a speech at one point. Though I mean, I'm just going to say this out loud. I really just wanted one person, just one time, to hack that animatronic Trump and just start with I moved on her like a bitch.
Like a bitch.
Like a bitch. I really just once, I just wanted to see that animatronic Trump say that, because it would be well worth it. Just once, because you have his voice. I mean, come on. So I can't deny anything that you said, but I'm still going to bring my kids there. And I'm still going to bring my kids there after.
And I want you to bring your kids there, because I love those boys.
Right.
So you were going to do that because they need to do it.
But I'm going to tell you the truth. I did day work for Disney when I lived in LA. So I was at the Burbank studios. I saw the building that looked that was held up by the Seven Dwarfs. That looks like the Seven Dwarfs because the Seven Dwarfs actually saved the studio. Being the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs being the first full length feature film that they put out. That was quite the risk at the time. And Disney had a mortgage. Yeah, Disney had to mortgage quite a bit of his own property. Disney, honestly, not the nicest guy. One of many stories I heard, and you as an artist, I always think of this. There was somebody above one of his offices blowing bubbles out a window because they wanted to animate the bubbles in a scene well, and they were trying to watch the bubbles float and trying to understand and look at the light and catch different things. And he had him fired because he didn't like the bubbles floating by his window. That was the type of guy he was. Seth MacFarlane has him pegged as a major anti-Semite. Nothing in my research. I'm putting big bunny quotes around that because, I look up shit on Google like everybody else. I'm not really researching anything. It shows any more anti-Semitism than it was at the time. I mean, I'm sure he didn't want his daughter marrying a Jew. We knew that. It's like, okay,
I think that
don't bring him home to my house.
To be clear, I think that information comes from the fact that he outwardly backed Nazi Germany.
He met with Leni Riefenstahl, who was a filmmaker at the time. I didn't find anything that actually said that he truly was saying, Hitler was, I love Hitler guy, but. All right, and he
was anti-communist and Hitler was anti-communist. It's not hard to believe, but I see what you mean.
Absolutely. It gets a little murky, but I can see it for sure. He was very anti-communist, very anti-union. And that relates back to going into that the insider industry name we used to use out there was we called it Mauschwitz. Yeah, that was people call it that in back rooms. Yep. That was the insider term for people who work. So yeah, there you go. But pair that up with mouse. Yeah. People have nasty back names for Disney. Like they definitely you don't talk nice about the mouse. Now you don't go against the mouse, mind you, right? You don't go directly against the mouse. And where I have to totally go and say I wholeheartedly support is Abigail Disney, who is his grandchild, who used to spend sleepover nights in Disneyland, the California one. There was an apartment above the firehouse on Main Street that he used to let his kids, his grandkids, kids and grandkids spend the night in, right? So it's kind of a big deal. Like, you hear the grandkids say like, yeah, I used to have sleepovers in Disneyland, dude, in my own room. It's pretty amazing. So she grew up with that, but she has come out as outright now made documentaries and against her family's legacy and is on the side very much of labor and pointing out just how little Disney employees get paid, particularly at the theme parks, versus how much Disney has made in money and how much more they could pay them and give them proper health insurance and still walk away with major amounts of profit. So she's one of those. I gotta say, you should listen to her because I can't deny that. I can't deny what my money's going to. It's they absorbed George Lucas. His own was sold children to white slavers. His quote, direct quote.
It's fucked up when you know who his wife is.
I mean, there you go. It was also for $1 billion or so. So I don't know, George. Like I hear you, and I hear what you're saying. You did take the check. Right? You were like, this is so insulting. As he's endorsing the check and make sure that gets in the fucking bank.
Because you were doing something so much better before Disney.
Right. Exactly.
You were making classics.
I mean, really.
The twist where he turns out to be his father. Oh my God.
Hey, come on. That was. Oh, come on. That shit blew my mind.
So don't worry about it.
That shit blew my mind when I was a kid. Come on. That shit blew my mind. And I love it. God. And you know what? I just got back from Guardians of the Galaxy yesterday, so I got Disney Plus downstairs.
Fight the power.
I'm their whore. Like, I understand it. Okay, I'm not even their whore. I'm paying. I'm their junk. Are you kidding me? I'm paying the money, and that's the way it's gonna be. It's just one of the many things. One of the dichotomies I got to live with, and somehow can hold two opposing ideas in my mind at the same time. But yes, you can fight the power, and you guys got to hear some of my sketch comedy that never made out when I was going to Emerson. I was writing down about Mickey Mouse. You heard my Mickey impression, but he was going to be doing blow.
It was a very good Mickey.
You're ahead of your time, man.
I was, man. I
mean, what you say is exactly true, and that's ultimately my point. All right, yeah, I don't give Disney very much of my money, but I give Amazon enough. And you have to live with the fact that every time you do, it's like, yeah, this is a shitbag company, and I am not helping, and I understand that, and you have to do it. But the thing that Disney controls, and it's controlling more and more of, is a unique thing. It really is. Like, the thing that fucking the mouse kraken actually controls is a unique thing, that you can't be mad at people for not turning their back on.
All that being said, I'm on their side in the lawsuit down in Florida, though, because it is only lip service. I totally think it is. The Open Secrets. There's a website, Open Secrets, that goes into companies that will pay lip service to certain causes, like particularly LGBTQ causes. And
those are always
talk out of one side of your mouth, and then where the money goes. Otherwise, and Disney's certainly on there. There's a lot of other companies on there. Getting a little awkward in this room right now, but it's out there. So
well, it'd be pretty funny to do a control F on both lists and see what the matches are, because I'm willing to bet it's going to be like 51% to 49%. We all act like these companies only pick one side and then that's it, where in fact every company out there is supporting both sides of the dual system that we have. Unfortunately, that's what happens when you end up having a predominantly two-party system. Companies are hedging their bet, but they're hedging their bet in the same way you watch someone who's really shitty at a roulette table, who's just there to be there, not for a good time, but for a long time. They're putting money. They may put a bunch on black, but a little bit on red. They may put a bunch on red, but a little bit on black. Whole lot on even, a little bit on odd, and vice versa all the way through. So eventually they end up making money and they get their way, but it's not something in the way the rest of us would gamble, which is how we vote.
And we went with we were talking about the Bud Light scandal, putting another big things there. Guess what? It became from that website and from other places. Guess where a lot of the money from Bud Light was going? To the very people who want to boycott them now. And then the other side kind of doesn't give a shit. So good luck with that. I don't know what to tell you. Good news is they own every beer brand out there. So, So, I mean, they'll make it up somewhere. All right. So Bud Light isn't going to be an American tradition. Bud Light is the beer version of Disney. We know that. All right. But yes, no, you don't get to use the power of government to punish them for that. That's all I'm saying. For speech and saying we don't like this, you ought not to use that. Now, we know how that'll go. And they got
the irony is this platform is being fought by a company that has basically had a tax-free situation for the last 70 years. This country is hilarious. You go ahead and start my clock, because I'm about to go ahead and shit.
Okay. All right, we're bringing it on. Here comes the three of clubs coming off that top fucking rope.
Let's light this MAD. All right, so this whole conversation I love, and I also think it's ridiculous, and it's very indicative of our entire country. It's indicative of all of us. We're over here talking about the monolith of Disney while we're looking up everything on fucking Google, ordering everything on Amazon, and calling everything in between. I mean, we sound like the idiots back in the day, like 10, maybe 15 years ago, walk around talking about how bad Walmart is, but then have no problem showing up and buying fucking 20 socks for $2 and wondering why aren't they paying their workers better? Because they don't have to. We keep showing up. That's the whole idea with this capitalism thing and this Disney thing and Marvel and on. Literally, guess what, guys? It stops if we don't go. That's the funny part. It stops if we don't watch. They don't have ultimate power. We put it in their hands. We walk around saying, oh, I gotta watch this new streaming thing. That was just like the last streaming thing. I gotta go see this new Marvel movie. That was like the last Marvel movie. I gotta see the Star Wars where, yeah, it's about another Skywalker. Shit. All right, goddamn it. It's like 15 Star Wars in a row, but the next one's going to be different. I mean, at what point are we actually going to hold ourselves accountable? At what point are we going to back up and look at these entities and say, you know what? You actually don't have the power that we put in your hands. We just put it in your hands. So really, we can be upset with Disney. We can get upset with any monolith, but frankly, it's us that allows them to exist. It's us that allows them to walk around. It's us that allows them to continue to grow. The funny part is we continue to forget when it comes to things like Disney, the giant monolith that they are. They've been knocked on their ass so many different times. It's hilarious. Like you guys were talking about some of the movie quotes and references, totally forget the fact that some of those came from Pixar. Yes, Pixar is part of Disney, but Pixar also almost fucking ended Disney. Well, we all lose sight of the fact that Disney had almost a 2-decade flop run. Like that's enough to start killing movie studios. That's enough to really start killing theme parks. Their theme parks were going under. People weren't showing up. I mean, there was a lot of things that Disney wasn't exactly running away with. Now, were they an empire? Yes, in part because of what I just said. They also were benefiting from like 70 plus years of basically tax-free situations. So even when they went bankrupt or got close to bankrupt, technically, it only happened once. That was 1923. Got close in 1932. That's about as close as they ever got. But even still, even when those moments happened, they still had a profit budget line that was way better than most other companies that never even sniffed fucking bankruptcy. And we also forget about a couple other dates that I'm just going to toss out there and I'm going to move away from. And I'm coming back just to make my point. 2009, 2012. I'm also going to say 2008 and current. Now, I'm gonna start with those two later dates that I just dropped and point out that the stock for Disney, to prove my point, and we're not even talking about the low days of stock when every stock was like a penny and you can go to the movie theater for a quarter and get yourself 2 hot dogs, a soda, and a popcorn and watch 2 feature films. I swear to God, my dad told me that like every other day. I guess that was real economy in the late 40s, early 50s, but whatever. The point being is, we're not going for it, Josh. I interrupted you like 1,000 times.
No, that was just like in between. That was right after he kicked open the door and said, "Welcome to the jungle, motherfucker." Right?
Normally that would be in the car ride when he was telling me about the economy of movie theaters. The car ride somewhere, just randomly. It's like, "How's your day at school?" It sucked. All right, well, back in the day, it's like, damn it. How did we get here? Right. So we're talking 2008 is the date that I said. So we're not even talking about a super low period. Now, I was around. We were around during 2008. We were all working slubs even back in 2008. I do remember that we actually did have a national. Technically, it was a recession. Most people think of it as a downturn. It was pretty harsh. People like my mom, who had her entire retirement that was in a lot of investments, and up until that point was looking fabulous. Got not even halved, got down to a quarter. It got hit so hard. So a lot of people did get hurt in 2008 in the recession. And some people actually would argue it was depression. Companies like Disney were feeling it. But again, you're missing the point that I already said. They were in the middle of that was in the middle of their 2-decade-long flop season. So they weren't doing great much of anything. They were seeing a downturn in their attendance in both parks. And Disney France was all but kaput. So basically, it was just a matter of time before this monolith was about to die. 2008, their stock was $20. It was actually $19.54. So I'm rounded up based off of the 50 cents. So $20 in 2008. Currently, Their stock is hovering around $96. That was after they got their ass handed to them in the last downturn that happened about a year and a half ago, and what stocks have been experiencing since basically the inflation of 2022 moving into this current fiscal year. And does not look better based off of what the Fed is talking about with interest rates and how they're going to mess with things. So basically, they're kind of looking at about $100 a share moving forward, give or take, depending on what entities they have front running. And I said all that because in 2009, they bought Marvel. In 2012, they bought Disney. What are the two major movie entities going on right about now? Marvel and Star Wars, right? Like Star Wars is killing the streaming part and Marvel is killing the movie stuff. And if you go back to the run that Marvel has had, basically, if you take them out, they don't get to buy Disney. And if you take that out, then you don't get to the streaming part. And if you take people showing up to go there and watch these things and say, nah, fuck it, you guys suck and I'm not ever showing up again, then you don't get any of these things. You see that stock in 2008 go from $19.54 to maybe $17.54. And then it's going to be a bargain bid ask at about, let's say 100 bid at about $10 per share, which is a lot of people are going to jump on, maybe float it for about another decade. But if they don't do anything, basically that's going to keep going down like a lot of stocks do. And then eventually they're going to be holding on for dear life like a lot of movie studios, probably going to a lot of downturn. Definitely laying off a lot more people than what they do, because what they do is they don't lay off people when they lose money. They actually lay off people when they make money, which is what they just did going into the fiscal year 2023 when they laid off 7,000 people. It wasn't because they were going bankrupt, but like a lot of people want to run away because they thought they went woke, so they went broke. No, absolutely fucking not. They actually crushed it. They absolutely destroyed their budget line. Why? Because despite they went woke, but so they went broke fucking crowd, everyone's still showing up to these movies. Everyone's still streaming their shit. Everyone's still buying their stuff. You still have people from every side of the spectrum going to their theme parks. You have people who are all about Earth Day every single year. They do it up. That is their freaking Super Bowl holiday. Guess what? They're still taking their fucking kids to Disney because their kids want to go. It's kind of like similar to, in a personal quick side note, I used to be one of those assholes, and I'd say this to anyone, so I'm glad I'm saying it publicly, technically, publicly, I guess, whoever listens to us. I'm saying it out there for the crowd. I was one of those assholes who used to judge parents for taking their kids to fast food. I was definitely one of those people. I'm like, all you had to do is plan, have some snacks, discipline, this, that, and that. Like, how are you going to do this to your kids? What the fuck's wrong with you? Blah, blah, blah. This was me also during the early 2000 decade. So let's say from 2000 to 2000, yeah, it came abrupt in 2007.
Now we know.
I was that person. And I had a whole lot of animus in my heart. Anytime I would sometimes be because I hated fast food. So when I was begrudgingly there and looking over and seeing, mom and dad, a guardian, someone taking kids, I'm like, oh, God, you're just ruining those kids. It only took one goddamn 2 hour, not even 2 hours. It was like a 1 day with my nieces and my nephew. 1 day. We were around our house the entire time. We just had a bunch of activities and events and all that good stuff. It took literally like 45 minutes of my nephew going at me from the back seat, not being mean, he was super sweet with it, but he was consistent. He was constant, and he started to whine and cry, and he would do everything but not listen to me unless I said what fast food place we're going to. And that was the only thing that brought that little bastard down to a calm. And I guarantee you, I pulled up to that fucking Taco Bell and that McDonald's like it was the fucking savior. I was willing to cut a pinky off just to shut my nephew up for some nuggets. Like I was there. And at that moment, I realized the enemy is me. I can't be out there judging people because sometimes you just have to make decisions and sometimes you just got to ride with the fucking wave of where you're at. It's hilarious that we look at Disney and we see it in such a weird light in the same fact that we'll go ahead and give them oodles of money to watch Star Wars on their streaming service, which, by the way, their streaming platform is literally like 70% Disney. Like, if you're not there to watch, their Disney streaming service is like 70% Star Wars. If you're not there to watch anything connected to the Skywalker family, you're fucked. Right. So you're watching this shit. And it's hilarious to me that we look at Disney and we get so at awe, but then we watch a fucking 30, 40 years of Star Wars stories. What's Star Wars up against? It's up against the Empire. The Empire is literally Disney. And why do I say it? Because the Empire, when we look at it, it was just a giant corporation. And like they're there to actually just bring law and order to things. Like you may not like the sterile view of the Empire. And I'm not sitting here saying like I'm pro Empire. I'm just pointing out like we're all a bunch of hypocrites, right? Because in the same way we can not watch Disney, in the same way we can go support a different company, a different content creator, a different blah, blah, blah. In the same way we can bring this Empire down. We're like, no, fuck that. We want our healthcare. We want our cushion. We want clean living. We want nice roads. We want infrastructure. We want all that good stuff. And you may be thinking, RaShaun, how does that relate to Disney? Well, you're still watching that shit. You're not going to see some third-party dirt-rate fucking movie or blah, blah, blah. You didn't show up to see, that indie film that came out that was kind of cool, but blah, blah, blah. You're giving streaming service to these guys. And on top of that, I challenge everyone listening to this to understand, do you actually really want to live where the rebels were living? Do you really want to be in that environment? Because I'm telling you right now, we only saw the good parts. We only saw the parts at the end of the stick. We're not seeing the shit that everyone else is living under in the rebel worlds. But guess who's living the way we want to live, the way United States citizens want to live? Hate to tell you, we're in the Empire, not because of who we are and how we like to be. It's because of the comforts we come to expect.
I have a name for you. Just when I was thinking about the end of that very Three of Clubs rant statement, which is chock full of knowledge and chock full of everything we need right now. Don Bluth. That's the only name you need to think of when you're thinking about that, because we had that chance. Yeah. He worked for Disney, worked his way up, was one of the animators that started the Black Cauldron, left during that project, and made Secret of Nim, for God's sake, based on the book Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nim, which I still love. That Nim is the National Institute for Mental Health, and talked about the rat experiments they did there.
And great movie.
Blown. Yeah, right. Hey, did okay. Got to make Fievel Goes West, but did they take over? Did enough people support it? Yeah, you had the chance right there. You had your Don Bluth, but no, in the end, you were, as you said, you're still going to stick by Disney. And just the only thing that popped to mind when you were talking about your nieces and nephews was an episode of Simpsons where Lisa and Bart see Krusty run an ad for a water park and make Homer take them there. And the entire time they just say, will you take us to Mount St. Splashmore? No. Will you take us to Mount St. Splashmore? No. Will you take us to Mount St. Splashmore? No. Will you take us to Mount St. Splashmore? No. Like, just for days on end until he finally breaks. That was you, RaShaun. You were at the mercy of Lisa and Bart right there. That's how that happened. So
shout out to Sarah. Shout out to Sarah. She was my girlfriend at the time. And even then she's looking at me like, RaShaun, this ain't the hill we need to be dying on, man. You need to find a drive through ASAP.
ASAP.
I'm not going to make it.
I mean, let me go ahead and be that, the weird guy again, because it's just my lane as the person who regularly sees those indie films and not that Disney garbage. It's much easier now than it used to be. So I hope a lot more people take your advice and, skip Disney and actually go see things that are at least can hold a better argument to the idea of being creative. And again, I grew up in a very different family. Your ass can ask for McDonald's all the fuck you want. You can ask for McDonald's till literally the cows come home, and we live in Boston. You can ask for you could ask to McDonald's until your teeth bleed. Bitch, you ain't getting McDonald's.
Yeah, to be clear, I'm not saying that's what I got. No, I grew up in the house where
you can get unless you want to walk home.
Yeah, right.
You can keep asking for goddamn McDonald's. You ain't getting shit. We gonna get home. You're gonna see what old rice is in the fridge, and you're gonna get creative with the bologna and the hot dogs and that old ass rice. The motherfucker you again. So you see, like there is absolutely
no. I mean,
to every rule, and I'm
not
also
necessarily.
Going to say there's actually a great movie called The Lobster. It's about relationships. It's the rom-com that the world needs. And
Yes.
you should go see that instead of literally anything Star
I don't know
Wars.
where you're gonna go see that. You might be at someone's house. Hey, you got the lobster? So I don't know if it's out playing.
See the
To
lobster.
be clear, similar to I grew up with spanking, like a lot of people in my generation did. That doesn't necessarily happen now. You grow. So what I'm saying is, my thoughts weren't based off of how I was raised. That Eddie Murphy bit about I can make you a burger at home. It's gonna be better than you sitting there like, oh, it's got onions in it. Like, yeah, I lived through that. And the worst part is, I remember my mom looking at me like, you'll never get this again from me. And I'm like, good, because this is awful. And then like literally 5 years later, I got to the age where I'm like, I fucking would kill for one of my mom's burgers. That'd be awesome. Absolutely awesome. And I'm sure all three of us heard at least once from one of our guardians growing up, one of our parents, you got McDonald's money? Because that was the other shutdown. It's like, I don't work. That's the whole exchange. I go to school, you work.
Yep. Right.
I didn't have gas money. Here I am in the car.
What do you mean? I'm in the car. Yeah, that went over well, I'm sure.
And I watched my brother walk home at least 2 times. So yeah,
home.
we also grew up in the age where a parent had no problem. No problem. Matter of fact, one time my brother refused to leave and my mom pulled his ass out and skidded on him. I'm like, shit. I was sitting there, I was 50-50 at home, like, I've never seen him again. This is the best day of my life. I mean, this is what a 5-year-old's thinking, but I was like, I get my own room. This is great.
I get my own room. This is
great.
That's amazing.
She kicked his ass out one time. One time he got so out of pocket. He got so out of pocket one time. My mom literally was like, all right, you can leave, but everything you bought. And my man was like 13 years old. He's like, all right, buy anything. She's like, all right, well, you can keep the underwear. Kicked his ass out. My man was on the porch for a half hour in his underwear. Shout out to mom. Happy Mother's Day.
That's fantastic.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's
Eddie
Day.
was gangster.
That's some old school shit. Well, we've taken our look into the mouth of the maw that is the Disney universe. I can definitely, it was all too appropriate that the Death Star could easily be fitted for a pair of Mickey ears. Really easy to do. Which, by the way, I have a set for my entire family that I make them wear every time we go there. And they have their names on the back. Anyway, Greg's giving me that look. I love that look right now. I love that's what I know. I've really scored in on that.
It's amazing how they got ears to fit on it.
Oh, sir. Yeah. I didn't know that. Honestly, I didn't know that was an option, but obviously it would be. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Why wouldn't it be?
I say? Life well spent.
How did they get this headband to fit on this head-based object?
This head-based object. My good Lord.
Stolen Nazi
with
signs.
that, yeah. just don't ask. Just don't look behind the scenes too much. Oddly enough, it's a lot like the part of it wasn't originally the property, but in Pinocchio, they take the kids to Pleasure Island, right? But when you really look at how it works, it's because they've all been turned to donkeys and yada, yada, yada. So you always got to have that one feeling about what's in the tunnels, really, Disney World. You can take tours of those, and part of me is too frightened to. So I'm just afraid I'm going to see what's actually occurring down there in the vault mines. Right?
That's fair. Yeah.
Yes. This is a poor, unfortunate soul who couldn't pay his way.
Watch out for the hanging dwarves.
Yes. All right. Well, we come to another end of our time here, asking and talking about those issues in pop culture that need to be talked about, need to be investigated, or peeling back the layers. I mean, Disney is complete week. Greg, what do you got going on for the rest of the week? What's happening with you?
Yard work.
Yeah.
It's
springtime.
Yard work. It's that time. So yard work.
Hey, seriously, don't sleep on those Celtics, man. That was a game 7 for the ages, dude.
Oh, you saw it?
I did, man. That was fucking
shit.
awesome, kid.
Yeah, I was
Tatum
out of
went
control,
off, dude.
That was the game no one saw coming. No one saw them just slapping the shit out of the 76ers. But
I don't know.
I was glad to see it.
I don't know how I let y'all walk around with these sport thoughts. Listen.
What thoughts?
I'm the lowest. The Celtics are the lowest on my totem pole. I fully admit it. Okay, I jump on the bandwagon right about now. Not even denying it. Didn't think I thought they could very easily fall apart against the Sixers. So there you go. And I'm smarting for my Bruins, who I watched during the regular season. Okay. All right. You can gladly look down on me for any of my takes with the Celtics, because I don't have any good takes on the Celtics during the year. I fully admit who I am.
What's your hot take on the Revolution? Why don't you drop that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There you go.
How you feeling about the
soccer,
Cannons
right?
this year? You feeling good?
Yeah, they play soccer and lacrosse, respectively. There you go. Those are my hot takes.
I mean, on the side note, FC Barcelona won La Liga this year, so I am.
There we go. St. Greg.
I love the way you just said it with the shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I'm talking football.
Yes.
Real football.
Football. Well, with that, RaShaun, what you got going on for us?
Probably setting up your Wi-Fi, man, because you are on the struggle bus. So, I'm not sure, but I don't know.
Define struggle, define bus. It's the inconvenience bus. Let's just be clear here.
Yeah.
I try not to, I try to be truthful. And I try and understand, but yeah, it's the inconvenience bus.
So
this is.
Yeah, so I guess I'll leave our listeners with, just try to look at every new day like, it's a whole new world, and just make sure you get the bare necessities, except for you, Vin Diesel.
Oh, shit.
You, I guess it's the same goddamn world, because we're at Fast and Furious, like 32. I mean, for real, man.
He's Groot. He's still Groot.
Forget about your worries and just try to.
Hey, see, even that guy.
My
even
bad.
This guy over here.
Only because I think
can't.
that's a low-key anthem for communism.
Okay.
Fight the power.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bare necessities.
That's it. It was sneaking it in.
So you look for the bare necessities, not like you look for the bare necessities and then you share it with the group, comrade. Right.
Well,
I guess that verse did not make it.
What's in this chicken nuggets, kids? Poor children.
Poor children.
Yeah. They make it out of poor children.
Yeah, free Tibet, but give me my new iPhone.
Certainly.
Also
certainly
made out of poor children.
Yeah, exactly.
Made for and out of.
Be scared
As I'm riding the inconvenience bus here, as I've redubbed it. So I'm looking with my, this week, I've been looking over paint colors with my wife. And what's interesting is they have these names of agreeable gray. I'm not kidding you. Accessible
that job.
Beige. Right. Someone has this job, accessible beige, and I'm like, I'm looking at like, is there a milk toast white? Or, but here's where I go to. I'm like, I need the opposite end. I'm like, I have to infiltrate whoever writes this. I need recalcitrant orange or, difficult beige, or how about arrogant prick pink, right? Can we get some of these? Like, can I get some of these counter? Can I get some counterculture color here, right?
Can I get
the man?
Can I get a My Demon 1 red?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Right. And I need something, because all these are just so, middle of the road, like agreeable. That's my favorite. I'm fine.
Mom's saying
that's cool. Whatever you want.
Mom's saying that her sister's tan.
Oh, now that would be good. Mom said, or says, beige will paint the ceiling beige. So dust off that old chestnut. Yeah, so that's my life at the moment. It's okay.
Daddy's still in the work shirt blue.
Yeah. I'll take it over the alternative. Like I said, it's the inconvenience bus. I'm well aware of what the deal is, right? But yes, we may be living in a hotel for a few weeks. We'll see. We'll see what's up. All right. I'll tell the kids it's an adventure. Oh, hi.
Just
let us know. We're totally, just like partying in that bitch at least one night.
That's it. All right. We're down for it. It'll be the TSG.
I mean,
TSG
people got to
gathering.
move in, right?
Right. They're going to clean it anyway.
Yeah, there's
that. I'm saying we're going to fuck up the sale for the guy.
Wait. Who are these two?
We sold our apartment like 4 years ago. You know how many hiccups that thing almost came across on the dumbest thing? Like the dude literally called our real estate agent and wanted to back out because he couldn't use the key to get into the door. We're like, come on.
They've got
supposed
nerve
to
now,
train
man.
you to work out now, man. Use your legs. I don't know what to tell you. Like your wrist ain't doing it, so anything could get knocked down.
Put your hips in it. All right.
But your neighbor that you hate, let's do it up there.
I know. Right?
Okay. All right. We'll make sure. Well, we haven't gotten there yet, but we'll work on it. Don't worry. We'll work on it. But
From
while I
Framingham,
still
I'll
have
show
you
you
here
how
in
to do
these
it.
last minutes, I do want to say go Celtics. Keep that going. Let's keep this party going. Let's go all the way to the finals. And
Go Lakers.
let's keep this going by getting over to Apple Podcasts or iTunes. Rate and review us. You can review us and rate us on Spotify. We are more than happy to have you do that. If you can be so kind as to follow us on, we are at the Steam Gentleman podcast on Facebook. We are Do You Even Steam Bro on Instagram, and the Steam G's on Twitter, where we release all our episodes every Monday that we can bring it together and get it out there. Most Mondays we make, honestly. We do a pretty damn good job for three guys who can't get paid, and we need that dick pill money. That's what it's all about. We need the dick pill money. We need the mattress money. We need the fab food money, and we need the therapy money. You can, pick out what you want from all those advertising sponsors that we so desperately need to get. And we will take it from there. But in the meantime, we thank you so much for tuning in and coming down to the Steam Tunnels with us once again. This is Josh, the Birdman, saying keep your heat up and keep your head of steam on.
Those plucky upstarts.